at Pt1 Falls. Did found somebody to talk to, and this is the Pt1 Falls. It's a pretty little spot. Lunch stop overlooking the Pine River Valley in the direction of Dawson Creek or Chetwynd. Beautiful day. And at the W.A.C. Bennett Dam.
They carved right out of the surface of the dam. I mean, the surface of the canyon wall has been blasted out, and its length is approximately 1,400 feet. 1,400 feet long, so it's not a small little place here. It took 1,000 men, 2 years, working 24 hours a day, 6 days a week to blast out this tunnel. So just the tunnel itself is a huge effort to construct. The white walls with concrete, if you look to your left, or actually right, my left when I'm looking back, you'll see right here to your right, there's a whole bunch of concrete sprayed. This is what they're spraying currently onto the walls. There's about 90 men working right now on that, and that's just to stabilize all the concrete around the thing, because the dam is about 30 years old. So they're making sure to stabilize everything. Okay, I have the bright lights up here, right through the side of the canyon wall. Just to give you some idea what the dimensions of this cavern in here. It's approximately 900 feet long, or 272 meters, and it's about 6 foot as wide as a 4-lane highway, or 65 feet wide, and it stands about 15 stories high from roof to the bottom. There are other levels below with the tile that you see. Just to give you an idea, there are 10 generating units here, each under the panels that you see, 1 through 5 to your left, 6 through 10 to your right. Some interesting features to note while we're here. It's like Richter scales and stuff to measure earthquakes, and just to measure if the dam is settling. These are all used right now. They're not used, of course. One of them is permanently sealed with concrete. The other two.
This is the visitor center at the Bennett Dam, and the dam itself with the 250-mile-long Wilson Lake behind it. On the highway between Hudson Hope and Fort St. John, looking back toward Hudson Hope, the Peace River Valley. Beautiful this evening. Okay. This is at the, what do you call it? The Kiskatchina Bridge. And the only wooden curved bridges left in existence. This one was built, it's the only wooden structure left on the Alaska Highway. It was built in 1942, and it took 9 months to construct. This is one of the very few wooden bridges that is banked to with the curve of the bridge and the road. I'm not sure if it's 160 feet high down to the water. I forgot the statistics. This is mile 0 of the Alaska Highway, Dawson Creek. Never thought we'd get here. We backtracked just so I could take this picture. Suicide Hill. This is at mile 148. The sign said at the top, "Prepare to meet thy maker." The Alaska Highway, about 165, heading towards Fort Nelson. We're getting close now to the Rocky Mountains again. The vastness of this area. This is on a turnout below Touch Mountain on the bypass. Miles and miles of trees. Being right beside a little airstrip. A gift shop. We can't pass any of them up. This time I'm saved. It's closed. The view from Steamboat Mountain, I guess. The view towards the Rockies in the distance. And the river's right down below here, but now we don't see it. This is Summit Mountain. Oh, Summit Pass at Stone Mountain. 4,100 feet high, the highest point on the Alaska Highway. There's a tourist reading the sign. More tourists walking around. Here's the Summit Lake Campground. Tourists are everywhere. Actually, quite spectacular. Summit Lake just over this hill of gravel here. This is the Summit Lake Campground, formerly the highway construction site. Old goat crossing road. Too old. See that? Look at them.
Why is that a cute one? How are you going to get by them?
This is the McDonald River.
Bumpy road along the Toad River at about mile 430. Through the dirty windshield, you can see the mountains are very, very barren, tall, narrow trees.
Muncho Lake, heading towards the Liard Hot Springs. This lake is a mile long, and it's supposed to be a beautiful green color because of the copper dioxide in the base and also glacial sediment. Supposed to be 750 feet deep. Doesn't look very colorful right now.
Again, through this bug-spattered windshield, I'm correcting. I told Don the lake was a mile long. It's 7 miles long and 1 mile wide.
This is Liard Hot Springs, and is it hot? It's nice. This is the lower pool, Alpha. We're on our way up to the Beta pool, which is a little bit cooler than this. Another one looking for some place to... And it's all boardwalk across getting here and up to the next, the upper pool. It's also boardwalk all the way, which is nice. And this is the upper pool, or the beta pool. Beautiful outdoor setting. Right there, the water's bubbling right up out of the bottom. This one's about 3 meters deep, they say. So you have to be able to swim to go in this.
Does it say record?
Yeah.
Okay, well then it's working.
Come on, Ben, back up here.
This is the beta pool at Laird Hot Springs.
I can't see. They're all steamy.
I've got an extra pair.
Why don't you leave your glasses on shore?
Well,
Or you won't find your way back to shore.
oh yes I will. Oh yes I will.
You want the life jacket?
No, I'm fine.
It's here just in case.
Well, you get ready to rescue me.
This is called beta pool. Actually, it's called the 3 old ladies pool.
No, Dad,
What was that?
it's a private swimming hole.
Oh well, whatever.
Did you take it to the grass on the other side though?
The grass? I can't see the grass.
Did you tell them that there's lots of pools?
This is halfway between the 2 pools and it's called the Hanging Garden. All this stuff, it's all made up of, I think, calcium deposits and so forth, and all the moss and lichens and plants grow down over this place. No trees, but everything else. Odd plants. Now we're in the Alpha Pool, the cool part of Alpha Pool. This is where the water pours over from the upper pool down here. Lunch stop on the way to Watson Lake. This is Liard River in Whirlpool Canyon. Oh yeah. The largest, one of the largest burn areas in BC. How many? My record keeper tells me that there were 400,000 acres. Obviously this isn't all of it.
Road construction. Detour. We feel like we're back in time in 1942, constructing the highway. Real hairy stuff. Oh, for the old eye.
I found a bald eagle. Miles and miles of burnt off timber in 1982.
Second largest
Didn't get a heck of a lot. That stuff never amounted to nothing anyway.
What, second largest river?
second largest forest fire.
Oh.
400,000 acres.
Look at that, they get stupider as they get older. Look at her. All that for a flower? This is the famous signpost in Watson Lake. The first one put up by a U.S. Army fellow in 1942. Evidently today there are some 36,000 signs erected here. There are rows of them, and they go all around this information center and all around the back. I have yet to find the original one, if it exists. This is Gertrude, worked on the Alaska Highway and in the Yukon for 40 years. Another Alaska Highway piece of equipment. And the old standard cable Caterpillar and a grader. This is a picture of our group camping at Watson Lake, and this is at 11:30 at night.
We're finally in the Yukon. Don just appreciates the winding road and the mountains. The population of the Yukon is 23,000. I believe it. We haven't seen a soul for 50 miles.
North to Alaska, good. I go north. The rush is on.
The only rush is the old folks when they're in their campers too. Half of the Yukon is forested.
They're not very big, but there's lots of them.
Look at these scenes and think of the Hudson Bay people coming through here in the 18th.
Beautiful, scenic country. Marvelous. Fantastic.
This looks so beautiful, but what you don't see is the 2 miles of terrorizing road construction we just came through.
This is a little stop just west of the Continental Divide, and this is the Rancheria Falls, heading for the Rancheria River. They built all this boardwalk over the rocky ground to it's not the first time I've seen a boardwalk over rocky ground instead of swampy ground. This is the main section of the Rancheria River. The other half goes around this island, which I looked at before up there. Beautiful morning. Beautiful scenery. And the rest of our group bringing up the rear. Very picturesque. Look at them coming through the woods. Indian file.
North to Alaska, the big rush is on.
This is our first view of the Cassiar Mountains. We're also very, very close to the Continental Divide, where the Liard River flows into the Mackenzie and off to the Beaufort Strait. The Yukon flows to the Bering. The village of Teslin and Teslin Lake. The Teslin Bridge is the longest on the Alaska Highway, 1,946 feet. Got one of those grid decks too. This is Teslin, Lake Teslin, or Teslin Lake.
evidently this lake is some 86 miles long. The Chinook salmon come all this way from the Pacific Ocean and swim all the way up here to spawn in the Nisqually River, which we just crossed over at Teslin. This is inside Muckluck Annie's, where we had barbecued salmon for supper. Real nice little place. And they barbecue it right here.
The smaller one would have been a 6-pounder.
And they have a gift shop off to the side where all the girls are now. Wherever there's a gift shop, that's where you'll find them. I forgot to mention that in Muckluck Annie's here, that you get free RV parking, and with your supper, you also get a free hour-and-a-half boat ride on Teslin Lake. What a bargain. I'll record the fire, at least show that it was barbecuing.
Put this on here.
Now they're all waiting for their free boat ride on Teslin Lake. Supposed to go at 8 o'clock. Clouded over now, so it's not such a nice evening. I'm on top of the houseboat on Teslin Lake for our after-dinner cruise, which was part of the package, so to speak. So we've been out here about 15 minutes, I guess. That's the camp back behind us, and this is a shot way down Teslin Lake. This is Marsh Lake on the way to Whitehorse. 20 miles long. Beautiful, nice lake.
It's the north end of Marsh Lake. A lot of the people from Whitehorse have their summer cabins along here.
We're just about in Whitehorse, and we stopped at Miles Canyon, which is the Yukon River. Keep forgetting to switch the stupid thing off. The Yukon River flows right around this corner and into Miles Canyon. Another shot of the Yukon River back at the bridge, or the gorge, or the canyon.
Wow, look at energy.
$9.95.
Along the Yukon River, the little floats along the bank, and then the planes tie up to them. We're just about 5 miles out of Whitehorse.
Downtown Whitehorse. We have made camp at Fox Lake, north of Whitehorse, for the night. This is the view out the trailer door where we just finished eating supper. Beautiful evening, nice lake, and everybody's happy. Evening walk on Fox Lake. This is our campsite. Isn't it? For the campsite from the highway, looking back at it. Here comes part of the crew out for an evening walk. They're kind of slow though.
Taking off the Alaskan highway dust. Ugh.
This is the famous five-finger rapids on the Yukon River. A lot of people lost their lives in the gold rush on this stretch. Even the paddle wheelers navigated through this gorge. Everywhere I go, I see the same doggone bunch of tourists.
No idea. Says he perches on top of
Oh,
rocks.
they're pretty
and-
smart. They're in
Oh,
our
yeah.
backyard all the time.
The common raven?
The white I'm attempting to film is not clay, but volcanic ash, which covered a third of the Yukon in about 700 AD. There's no volcano in the area, but field archaeologists date their finds above and below the volcano.
Pele Crossing.
Oh, this is wrong. That's right. Yeah, stuff in everybody's hands. He applied for this phone to. Oh, he applied for it? Yeah, yeah, all together. Brothers and family. Yeah, yeah.
This is called the Tintina Trench, which runs for hundreds of kilometers across the Yukon and Alaska, where the two geological plates meet. This morning we are out traveling up the Dempster Highway looking for some tundra. These are the Ogilvie Mountains. Another gorgeous morning. On the Dempster Highway, my two passengers. This is the North Fork of the Klondike River. We're right up in the snow line. Right up in the snow area. Now they seem to be enjoying themselves anyhow. In the Ogilvie Mountains, we're going over Tombstone Pass. This is looking southwest down the valley. This is Tombstone Mountain in the background. What a beautiful sight. Tombstone Mountain is 7,000 feet high. This is looking down the valley the way we came up. And these are all the Ogilvie Mountains. Not many trees up in this area now. Just along a little bit further. Can't resist taking these pictures for I have something to remember it by.
Look at all those over there. Yeah. Little white tops.
A little flower in the tundra. I don't know what it's called. Another little flower on the tundra here. Very pretty. Few and far between though. All these goofy people walking around on the tundra. I don't want to take a picture of everything, but they insist that I do. Little purple or pale blue ones. Don't know the names of any of these. Still on the Dempster Highway. Some of this is pretty barren looking stuff. I think we're almost at our turnaround point to go back. I'm not sure if this is just a leg stretch or if it's lunchtime. We're on our return trip down to Dempster towards Dawson City. And these are the Tombstone Mountains we're coming back towards here. Under the description, we're looking for a couple of low mounds called pingles, which are frost heaves pushed up by the permafrost. I'm not sure if that's one, and another one there, or if that's one.
This is a descent to the ice fields. Had to go out there and play. They're looking for a spot to sit down and dangle their feet over the side of the iceberg, as they call it. It's been a beautiful day. I don't know if Shirley's going to throw that or not. Shirley always finds something. Looks like a Nordic experience.
Look at that. Oh, here we are, Diamond Tooth Gertie's, Dawson City, Yukon. We've just driven up to the dome above Dawson City, the Yukon River down there, and you can look all the way up the valleys. Beautiful view. All the way around here, down there, and just all the tailings piles. Way up. Not sure if that's Bonanza Creek or not. This is looking north from Dawson. There we have the sun. Still hasn't set yet. It is just about midnight. All these stupid people up here at midnight on the top of the dome. Continue around to the north. What a sight. This is the Bank of Commerce building, built in 1901. And the riverboat Kino. The waterfront of more buildings in Dawson City. Interesting town. We're on a walking tour.
Bank of North America here, this building dates back to 1899. And at the height of the gold rush, there was two banks in town. And the Bank of North America was the first bank to get up. But last year they finished it and they opened it up, and actually I'm told that they're planning on removing this building off site, and they're going to be bringing another building on, and it's going to expand. The early 1960s. So again, as I mentioned, that during the gold rush, Sam Steele had a thing that these.
This is what happened with permafrost.
Now, I know that they numbered all the boards on the outside, and they stored them in Billy Big's blacksmith shop across the street. So when they did put up this building, I guess some of them.
More of Dawson City. This is one building that's in real need of repair. Right in the middle of the town, there's an old building. I'm not sure if it isn't a blacksmith shop or machine shop of some kind, because there's all kinds of old relics laying around here in the grass. Old boilers and lots of stuff. These buildings date from 1901, and this is what putting a heated building on permafrost does. These are unrestored, of course. This is inside the old post office built in 1901. Still operates as a post office today during the summer months. Really a nice old building. This is the exterior of that post office. Very nice building. Good services given. And the fellow doing readings, I forget his name.
This is the Coronation of Sam McGee, written by Robert Service. There are strange things done in the midnight sun by the men who moil for gold, and the Arctic trails hold secret tales that will make your blood run cold. And the northern lights have seen queer sights, but the queerest they ever did see was that night on the marge of Lake Labarge when I cremated Sam McGee. Well, now, Sam McGee was from Tennessee, where the cotton blooms and blows. And why he left his home in the south to roam around the pole, God only knows. He was always cold, but the land of gold seemed to hold him like a spell. And he'd often say in his homely way that he would sooner live in hell. Well, now, it was Christmas Day, and we were mushing our way over the Dawson Trail. Talk of your cold through our packers' fold, it stabbed like a driven nail. And if our eyes we closed, then our eyelashes froze, till sometimes we couldn't see. It wasn't much fun, but the only one to whimper was Sam McGee. Well, on that same night, as we lay packed tight in our robes beneath the snow, and the dogs were all fed, and the stars overhead, they were dancing heel and toe, he looked at me, and Cap said he, I'll cash in this trip, I guess. And if I do, I'm asking you, now you'll not refuse my last request. Well, he seemed so low I couldn't say no. And he said with a sort of a moan, it's that awful cold that's got right hold, and it's chilled me right clean through to the bone. Now it ain't been dead. It's my awful dread of the icy grave that pains, and I want you to swear, foul or fair, that you'll cremate my last remains. Well, a pal's last need is a thing to heed, and I swore I wouldn't fail. And we hurried on at the streak of dawn. My God, he looked ghastly pale. He was crouched on the sleigh, and he raved all day of his home in Tennessee. And before nightfall, a corpse was all that was left of Sam McGee. Well, now, there wasn't a breath in that land of death, as I hurried horror-ridden, with a corpse half hid that I couldn't get rid because of a promise given. It was lashed to the sleigh, and it seemed to say, you can tax your brawn and your brains, but you promised true. Now it is up to you to to cremate these last remains. Well, a promise made is a debt unpaid. The trail has its own stern code. And in the days to come, though my lips were numb, my God, how I cursed that load. And in the long, lone nights by the lone fir light and the huskies around in a ring, they howled out their woes to the homeless snows. My God, how I loathe that thing. Every day that quiet clay seemed heavy and heavier to grow. And on I went though the dogs were spent and the grub was getting low. The trail was bad and I was half mad, but I swore I'd not give in. I'd often sing to the hateful thing, and I would hearken with a grin. Then I came to the marge of Lake Labarge, and a derelict there lay. And I saw in a trice it was jammed in the ice, and it was called the Alice May. Well, I looked at it, and I thought a bit. Then I looked at my frozen chum. And here said I, with a sudden cry, is my crematorium. Some planks I tore from the cabin floor, and I lit the boiler fire. And some coal I found that was lying all around, and I built the fuel on higher. The flames they soared, and the furnace roared, such a blaze you'll seldom see. Then I bored a hole in that glowing coal, and I stuffed in Sam McGee. Then I took a hike, because I didn't like to hear him sizzle so. And the heavens scowled, and the huskies howled, and the wind began to blow. It was icy cold, but the hot sweat rolled down my cheeks, I don't know why. And the greasy smoke in its inky cloak went streaking down the sky. Well, now I do not know how long in that snow I wrestled with grisly fear. But the stars came out and they jumped all about ere I ventured near. I was sick with dread, but I bravely said, I'll just take a peek inside. 'Cause he must be cooked. And it's time I looked, and then the door I opened wide. And there sat Sam, looking cool and calm in the heart of the furnace roar. And he wore a smile that you could see a mile, and he said, oh, come on, will you please close the door? It's fine in here, but I gravely fear you're gonna let in the cold and the storm. Since I left Plum Tree down in Tennessee, this is the first time that I've been warm. And now there are strange things done in the midnight sun by the men who mile for gold. And the Arctic trails hold secret tales that'll make your blood run cold. And the northern lights have seen queer sights, but the queerest they ever did see was that night on the marsh of Lake Labarge when I cremated Sam McGee. So that was the commission of Sam McGee. And that was another one which he used to recite whenever he went to a party. And sometimes it also recited in the bars.
How many of you folks have come up through what?
This is the tail end of the dredge, so it leaves the tailings behind. It's a huge monster. At one time it was the biggest one in the world. Always has been the biggest one in North America. The winches that raised and lowered the bucket man, all operated on electrical power. The pumps used for the sluicing and so forth, 7,000 gallons a minute. Two gear wheels.
I'm quite happy where I am.
Drive at the top of the bucket line.
Well, I only work 6 months a year, and I spend the rest of the time in Mexico.
This is the hopper at the top where the bucket dumped all that gravel. electric motors for driving the various winches and clutches. Huge, monstrous piece of equipment. A view of the head of the bucket boom right down to the tip of the bucket. This is in the control room. One man controls the whole dredge, all operations from this one spot. This is the other side of the drive system for the buckets. This is a Bear Creek camp.
Now, in
Repair depot.
1897, a gentleman by the name of Joe Boyle ventured into the Klondike.
Inside the machine shop at Bear Creek, most of the equipment has been stripped out.
Yeah. Telling people anything wrong, it was just that there were some of the mixtures.
I doubt if much of this will turn out, but it's pretty dark in here. But it was a very impressive building. Very interesting tour. This is a 15-ton capacity crane for unloading supplies. There's one of the gear wheels off the dredges that we saw earlier. This was the machine shed we just came out of. They did all this manufacturing. This is a Big Al McDonald's water pump, which pumped 1,600 gallons a minute. This is in the gold room where they processed all the gold and separated it.
Fahrenheit, 1900 degrees or 1060 Celsius. Okay? The gold burned up and the impurities would float to the surface. Okay? Now, if anyone in the world ever tells you gold has been found,
the top of the world highway, heading for Tok, looking way back up the Yukon River, I think. Looks like there's a storm moving in. This is the view from one side of the highway, looking to the south, or if you want to call it that. And this is the view looking to the north. A bit stormy, but still quite spectacular. A view from one side of the top of the world highway, again up above the tree line. There goes our road over the other side. We're back in snow area. Hasn't all gone yet. There's our caravan going way up around the corner. A bit stormy now and raining. Supposedly still on the top of the world highway.
We're still on top of the world highway. There's a cabin right there. The highway winds for miles along the top of this. It's windy and cloudy. And hope the clouds don't leave any rain, as this road is not easily traveled.
Looking back across the ridge over there, you can see there's miles back the road that we followed. Beautiful view. There's our caravan. George, Lee, and Al leading the pack. Way off into the unknown. Pretty barren up here. And the wind is blowing, as you could probably hear. And it's cool.
No, right down to the road. Good really is National Geographic stuff. Caravans on the top of that hill. It's a highway where everybody. It's a highway going nowhere.
Now looking at the U.S. border of Alaska. I think we probably go down a bit now, although the road winds over that hilltop.
Leaving the Yukon.
We are leaving the Yukon, and there's the U.S. Canadian border. The highway straight ahead.
Two of them have already vanished into the gift shop. This is called the Top of the World gift shop. There goes George and Alice. I guess they had to build a new shop. Can you believe it? This is our night stop, our camping area, at a place called Chicken in Alaska. And there we are all at the back lined up on another free camping spot. Here comes the group heading for Chicken. Here they go, all heading for downtown Chicken. The Chicken Mercantile Emporium, the saloon, and the Chicken Creek Cafe. Walk down into Old Chicken. This is the home of Tisha, the person who wrote the book, Tisha. This is the school she taught in.
Okay, Mr. Strong. The last legally adopted child.
Old log buildings in Chicken.
Yeah, we're considering adoption.
Oh, no.
In the 30s and 40s, it was a base camp for cats, for mining, and so forth. This was the old stable. Later years, it just housed the bulldozer.
And later, FE turned it into their mess hall. In the 50s, the McCombs used it, and he was in the state legislature, and she used to cook there and sell soups and things. They later built a lodge at the South Fork. You came from Dawson.
Yeah.
Did you see the road maintenance camp about 8 miles from here?
Yes.
They had a lodge there called the South Fork Lodge that the state bought, and then they eventually moved up here to the Mosquito Fork where they lived until they died. My friend Harold owns that property now. There aren't too many pieces of property that you can actually buy and sell here.
This was the
Barn doors.
This town was electrified, and Susan says that her husband pulled up a portable generator and connected it up, fired it up, and all the lights came on in Old Chicken after 30 years.
This is Paul Vitel's cabin.
Who?
Paul Vitel's cabin. He's the last one that lived here.
Oh, I see.
And he supervised the cleanups from the dredging.
Oh, I see.
This is an old cast. Bag them out. You know? So we're always shooting them, you know. Another thing that I don't know if you ever heard of is a tundra daisy. And tundra daisies are not flowers; they're 55-gallon drums. Yeah, they used to, miners started this town, and miners still, are here. And they need to haul their fuel. I don't know if you noticed that old Ford pickup in but they had 55-gallon drums in the back of that truck. And the reason they do is they're buying gas to run their dredge, and they used to bring in diesel to run their D8s and whatever else. So when they got a little old and leaky, they used to cut them apart and use them for things. And he used it for a wall here. The
at
Joe
that.
Hansen place,
Yeah,
right, the Joe
imagine.
Hansen place
Look,
next to
just
me,
lined up
they
clean.
used them for the roof. It looks like big fish scales, an enormous fish. You need them, and it's necessity is the mother of invention. I mean, a Clorox bottle is an important thing here. When I lived down in the bush, man, I didn't throw anything away. Plastic bags, Clorox bottles. It's like a third world country. I don't know if you've ever been to a third world country, but I've been to Haiti, which is a really poor country. It's a very poor country, and they buy and sell Clorox bottles. Because you can haul water in them and
they're
stuff.
worth something.
They're
aren't
worth
they?
something, and that, you know, even though it's kind of, again, my husband and I think it's really one room again, one again. It's another small room that you can put stuff in, or he uses for a little kitchen area. And that's where we think the root of that word came from. I could be wrong. It's just a theory.
At Chicken here, they have a total of 13 dogs. They have 7, and her mother-in-law has 6. They did have 23. These are huskies. Actually, they look more part wolf than a nice dog, eh? Now this one really looks like a husky. Yeah. Yeah. They seem to come in all shapes and sizes and colors. Hey. They were howling earlier. It was just beautiful. But I didn't have my camera, naturally. Partner's still coming back there behind. But this is a view of the 40-mile river valley. It stands for miles out here. In the distance, the snow-capped mountains is the Alaska range. And somewhere along this Taylor Highway, I'm not just sure, the caribou cross every fall.